little female. I checked her, she wasn't even, she's not swollen, or she doesn't even have any nipples forming, so she's just a young of the year, man. One of those stupid ones. We'll kind of get this going real quick, and let me get some of my stuff. I had everything kind of put up because I wasn't going to be doing any skinning, so. Hopefully I store. So I have this gambrel comes with these really sharp hooks, so I don't have to make any cuts. I can just toss it right up on here, stick right in to the center. So all I do is I just come up the sides, go straight up the center, and then I V off to the left, V off to the right, go right up through the anus, pretty much. And then most of the time I'll just work a little bit here. I'm not trying to do like a bunch of cutting. I'm just trying to get this initial like membrane pulled down. Same thing on this side. And come to find, like, if you do this, you don't tend to get into that gland as much. The gland I'm talking about is that hot gland that is presented in there. So and then I just pull down straight to the front, try and get past this joint right here. You want to call it the knee joint or whatever. And then I stay close up on the fur. Pull down straight from there. And then the same thing as we rotate around. I'm rotating and I'm trying to get into that leather and pull. Rotating, try to get into that leather, pull. And then staying right up on that leather. And then you're going to get down to here. And typically, when you do this, you should get down low enough to cut through on the anus. But I'm going to kind of go to what I am used to. I just put this on my wrist. This is kind of how I skin when I'm out of state. So I really like these serrated tips a lot, actually. I come through, plunge right where the kind of the urethra should be for the vagina, and then I just kind of free that up a little bit, and then that gives you something to grab onto and pull this down. So you can grab onto, and like the nice thing is you can drop that and grab stuff, but that gives you something to grab onto. And then I usually just pull this completely down until it pops open. They can take a decent amount of abuse, guys. So, you know, don't be afraid to really get into them. You can peel that down and then just put your stripper on and then give it a good little yank. Try not to get into your caster that's drying. So really right now, I mean, you can go through and cut this little membrane right here. I mean, you don't need to do that. Really, take this off just if I want to get a little crazy here. Really, you don't need to do that. I typically just strip the tail, put that back where I always keep it, and then, you know, pull down. And like I said, I'm getting close up into, I'm taking my hand where that curve is, and I'm getting right there and just pulling. Same thing with this, you know, and then just pulling. People ask me why I, you know, do a lot of my skinning by hand. Well, I'll show you right now. When you start to get any tension, it starts to slip. So, I mean, I know that's not a huge deal, but when you're doing these, and this one is This one is warm, so it's peeling super easy, but when you start to get to those colder ones throughout the day, you'll notice that they really, because they're tight on there, so they really start to slip with any tension. And you'll see guys that sit on buckets and, you know, use a foot pedal and hold that fur so it don't slip. I don't want to sit there and babysit my devices that I bought to make my life easier. Plunge through, pull that down past the elbow. Even a little bit farther sometimes isn't a bad thing. And then I just ream this off. And guys, always whenever you're doing this, cut away from the fur, don't cut into the fur. The only time you really should do that is when you're cutting straight across here on that front line. Now you can put this back in there. I just put my hands in the elbows and pull down. And that gets you down to typically the ears. And then I usually just plunge right straight through and rotate up. What you can do is they have their jaw right here. It's gonna have a divot, an indent. I put my fingers in there so I can control everything. And then I plunge through, peel that up. And like you can even use it as like a fulcrum if you can brace it against the skull. And then I just hold tension, put my hand in the, or my fingers in the ear, hold tension. Once I get down here, I kind of pull my fingers in and get up, so I'm pulling that hide away. And then I get to the eyeball. Come up on this side, same thing on the eyeball. If you feel like you're getting too far into the eye, just start cutting up a little bit higher. But I pull down from the, kind of free up that lower tissue, and you're going to see a vein here. I mean, you're really going to hit it typically, but if you can cut just above it, it might save you just for a second. But eventually, you're going to run into some bleeding, so you really want to try and get decently quick down here, because when you're skinning warm coyotes, I mean, you can't help but have a bleed. So. And then I cut the bottom lip off. If you're going to do anything taxidermy or anything, you're going to want to leave the legs and leave all this on. Sometimes you can just leave the front legs on and cut the back legs off for nice looking wall hangers. And then if you're going to do a full taxi mount, you're cutting everything off. And most of the time you can just take some shears and clip, you know, right here, clip right there, skin down to the head, and then cut it off at the neck and leave the skull inside, and that way the taxidermist can do their own thing. If you have any questions, you want to see something a little bit more in depth, a little bit more in detail, I can definitely go through that. I do have some other tricks and tips, but like I said, you know, the gate system, it works, but you do have to babysit it a little bit. I much prefer the spinning system I had, but I will say the gears in that one went bad after, you know, years of use, which it got its money's worth. But I was trying to find something that was going to last me a lifetime. I think this might be the case. I just might have to fabricate a little bit of stuff, or just skin everything while it's hot. So, hey, thanks, man.